have something here that is an indefinite integral, and it looks relatively simple. So a problem like this can be misleading because we tend to think we need u substitutions when we've got really complicated integrands, and that's not really complicated. But that is a function composition because what I'm plugging into my exponential function is 2x, it's not just x. If the input is anything more complicated than just plain old x, that's a function composition. And with function composition, that's probably the strongest sign that I want to do a u sub. Now this is kind of interesting because that's all I have. I don't have a product of two things. But if I take a look, the inside part would be that 2x. So I can say u would be 2x, then u prime would be 2. Now I don't have that 2, but it's just a constant. So I know that I can introduce the 2 that I need if I also introduce a 1/2. So I can multiply by 2 and by 1/2. That way, all I'm really doing is multiplying by 1. Okay. Now, the 2 I needed to make the u sub work. The 1/2 is an extra factor, but it's constant, so I can pull it out. So I can say this is 1/2 the integral of e to the 2x times 2 dx. And generally moving forward, what I'll do is rather than do this in 2 steps where I show that I'm multiplying by 1 and then I factor the extra constant out, I'm just going to say I'm going to multiply by 2 on the inside, counterbalanced with a 1/2 on the outside. That way I'm multiplying by 2 and by 1/2, so I'm multiplying by 1, and with constants it does not make a difference whether they're inside the integral sign or outside because I can move them around as much as I want. Okay, so my du would be 2 dx x1. So this becomes 1/2 integral of e to the u du. That's going to be 1/2 e to the u plus c. And remember, when it's an indefinite integral, we don't want to leave things in terms of this new variable. We want to go back to the original variable. So this would be 1/2 e to the 2x plus c. Okay. Now, eventually in your calculus career, you're going to probably get to the point where you can look at that and you can do this u substitution in your head without having to write out all of the u substitution. I would recommend that as this is new, you actually take the time to write out your u substitution each time. This one is a simple enough one that you may discover at some point, possibly this semester, possibly not till next semester, at some point you're comfortable just sort of doing that u substitution in your head and saying, oh, I'm missing a 2, so I'm going to get a 1/2, but then I'm just going to get my exponential function. And if you get there, that's totally fine. I would recommend, at least for now, that you write out the full u substitution just while you're getting used to this new rule.